Shalom and welcome. I'm Rivka the Jade Gamer. Well, Shabbat Shalom and welcome. I'm Rivka the Jade Gamer, and this is Exalted, a circle of one. Um, the well, this is Exalted, the Saga of Drifting Lotus. We are using the a circle of one rules to create our loom, but we also have some custom things that have been added in by friends of the channel. Anybody can try it out. All you have to do is use the channel command pattern spider, and it'll allow you to add stuff to our loom. Random people, things, events, and those might randomly show up in the campaign. This is my first time playing a solo campaign on stream. And you know what? I want to be a little bit bigger. So here, I can do this. I can be here. Yeah. I can do this. This is this is something new for me. I'm working on putting together a better means of being able to view character sheet and all of that. I just need to get it done. But let's see. How do we want to begin? Well, I think probably the best place to begin is the beginning. Right. The heat of the sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked earth of the scavenger lands. Drifting Lotus squinted at the skeletal remains of a long-dead monument, its purpose lost to time. Just weeks ago, deciphering the forgotten rituals of the wasteland tribes to build shrines to their patron spirits was as familiar as the calluses on her hands. Now her grip felt weak, her thoughts like dust devils swirling in the arid air. It started subtly about a week ago. Misplaced offerings of vulture feathers, a forgotten prayer to a windweaver. She dismissed it as dehydration after days traversing through the forest without getting near rivers, but she managed to find one and drink her fill, but the fog thickened with each passing day. Instructions from the weathered faces of various peoples that she met within the 100 Kingdoms all watched her with curiosity and concern. The voices that were once present in her mind, what she had learned, what she had studied, now faded into a hollow silence. She had fallen into a panic. She'd always remembered how to repair and build a shrine. But now, when she thought she had smoothed everything out, splinters would pierce her skin. She would start to speak prayers to the ancestors, and words would come out as prophecy. Now she felt like a ghost that haunting the ruins of a life that she once helped restore. One night, last night, beneath the sky choked in the leaves of the trees above her. She broke down in tears. They welled up in her as she clutched her small bag of scavenged gemstones and bird skulls and various gree that she would use in rituals. But their usual comforting energy was absent. She fell asleep. And she dreamed. She was just as lost in her dream. She didn't understand why, but she dreamt of a ship. She'd never been on a ship before. She knew what they were. Riverboats, yes. She'd been on riverboats. But never actually a ship. But in her dream, she was on one. Not only was she on it, she was commanding it. Well, the sailors. The constellation of the captain was out. She remembered seeing that before she fell asleep. But it never meant anything to her. She was born under the crow. She dreamt that her ship came to dock. And she was in a world that she'd never seen. She looked around, and a voice called out to her. Thrifting Lotus, are you sleeping on the job? Not the stellar debut I was expecting. She looked around and woke up with a startle. She woke up with a startle and looked around. Sitting in the trees, just perched upon a branch, was a man, an old-looking man, wearing armor. He looked like a warrior, a soldier. His hair was gray. But what stood out to her was the yellow trim around the black scales of his armor. She knew who he was instinctively. It all made sense now. She was tied to Mercury. She was an agent of fate. And this man was her mentor. She couldn't explain how she knew it, but she did. He gestures to an image of he gestures to the ground, and an image of a map seems to appear. It displayed a lush valley, threatened by swirling clouds of red dust. Drifting Lotus quickly moved to her feet. Straight into the deep end, I see. See that valley there? Farming community. Breadbasket of the region. Problem is, the monsoon season's stalled. Without the rain, the crops will fail. And if that weren't enough, there's a war brewing to the south. A particularly nasty warlord with a taste for scorched earth tactics is heading towards the valley. Well, I don't have time to go into all the details of the destiny and how the loom is set up. That's not important here. Your mission, Akari, is to convince Lord Vayu, the god of the storm, to redirect his path. Persuasion is preferred, threats are frowned upon, but if you deem them necessary. Drifting Lotus brushed the sleep from her eyes. Alright, so I'm going to find this Lord Vayu guy? storm god, and yes, he's in a village called Erdu. Alright. Alright. So, where's Erdu? Department of the Lost Causes, clearly. You're just outside his little temper tantrum right now. Lovely view, isn't it? Drifting Lotus looked around and saw that a storm had been brewing. She didn't see it last night when she fell asleep, but this wasn't where she'd fallen asleep. So I have to convince him to keep moving. Convince you think the storm god cares about a bunch of mud farmers and their dusty crops? Here's the reality check, newbie. They throw tantrums. We clean them up. Now, get up. You've got offerings to arrange. He gestured to a nearby pile of scavenged junk. Rusty gears, a chipped skull, a deflated wineskin. Drifting Lotus looked at it, bewildered. These weren't even close to being good enough to please a ancestor spirit awaiting reincarnation. How could they convince a god? Oh, don't tell me they forgot to mention the department's budget cuts and training. All right, I'm training you. Look, shiny trinkets or heartfelt pleas. It's all the same to a glorified rainmaker. Just distract him long enough until the next storm rolls in and takes over. Just get him moving. Bureaucratic shuffling, darling. There has to be another way. Oh, bless your naive heart. There's always another way, kid. Just depends on how much paperwork you're willing to wade through. Now, get to work. You haven't got all day. And so, that should, let me adjust this real quick. Alright. She was not this close to Udra early on. She knew that she was just at the, where the river split. Or rather, joined. At this point, they were flowing southward. And she began her trek towards Udra. We're going to do a nice, simple check. Because she is traveling. And we want to, get to know the system a bit. It is a simple challenge. Difficulty 1, just want to see how quickly she's able to make her way there, traveling through the forest with a storm going. Difficulty 1, target number on her dice is 7. Let's begin. Alright, 5196. So, everything that's a 7, 8, or 9 or 10 is a success. I got 1 success. So, it's going to take, well, let's see. 33 miles? Yeah. It's going to take her most of the day to get to her destination. It's not difficult, per se, to get there. The forest is dark, and the storm just makes it worse. The trail is easy enough to find, but ultimately, it is slow moving because her feet sink in the mud, she slips. It is not as simple as one would expect. All right. I wonder. All right. We'll do it this way. So, Drifting Lotus, with night already having fallen, walks into the town. She passes through the farms, where rice paddies have been planted on the side of the hill. Irrigation paths have been carved away. The water is 2 inches deep in the town. For the most part, people aren't out and about. She can see lights, candles burning, but people are tired of the rain. Usually, one doesn't have to worry about plants drowning. Unfortunately, they can. And she can already see rot on the base of the houses. She can see where the water line is wearing away at the bark of the cherry trees. She knows Lord Vayu is somewhere, and she slowly searches. And this seems like we should make an awareness check, right? I mean, it's just a simple, Okay. That's 6 successes. Because the 10 counts as 2. Finding the center of the storm is quite easy for her, actually. She moves past the small ancestor shrine that had been constructed last time she went through here for the forgotten ancestors. And she sees the center of the storm. And did I really forget to put the battle map in? I did. I forgot. So I need to grab this. I need to grab this because I forgot to grab it. Let's do this. Thought I had everything. I'm terribly sorry about this. I suck. Okay. Choose file. Here we go. Hello, Nova. I can see you. Can you hear me? I know you can't see anything on the map right now because I forgot to set a setting correctly. Yay! I am a fool and I don't know what to do. Alright. Ah. There we go. That's what I'd mess things up. The ground sloshed beneath her feet. She tried to stay to the stone path just to keep herself from sinking down into the mud. Out in the water she could see him, Lord Vayu, a brat of a child, dancing on the water surface, screaming, just yelling a primal cry as lightning strikes around him. The water is heavy here. Droplets as heavy as, well, droplets large enough to fill a thimble, perhaps. Drifting Lotus walked to the water's edge. Lord Vayu, I presume. Who are you? I am Drifting Lotus, and I am here to... I don't care! Go away! Lord Vayu, what is wrong? She knew that... Well, she didn't know what... There's nothing that she could really figure out. I like it here. I'm staying here. She's nice to me. She? Who is she? Lord Vayu's eyes snap towards her, and lightning comes down. Oh, that's... Oh, okay. The lightning hits, and Drifting Lotus is thrown backwards. Pain flushing through, filling her body. I brought gifts for you, Lord Vayu. I have many treasures for you. She pleads with him, trying to get him to calm down. No! I don't care! He begins to call lightning again. But Drifting Lotus moves as quickly as she can to get away. What catches her eye is the ship, or the two boats. They had to serve a purpose. Let's see. Does she remember what those do? It's not actually all that difficult. Alright. 2 successes. Those boats are shrines where the people of this town would make offerings to the lake goddess. They would light the candles and they would launch the ship. And she would gather what they had offered. It was laden with gifts, but it hadn't been sent out in days, maybe weeks. However long Lord Vayu was here, he had left it. He had prevented them from making their offerings. So, Vayu is going to throw lightning again. And we're going to see if Drifting Lotus is able to get to this shrine quick enough. 3 successes. 2 damage. Alright. That is in contest. The 2 successes against my athletics. Difficulty is 2. Alright. As the lightning strikes, Drifting Lotus is able to reach and loose the boat. She gives it a shove as lightning splits between her and the vessel. That's mine! Those are my pretties! They're mine, you can't have them! She's hurt. She is quite unhappy. Fine. She steps back away from the lake. Lord Vayu approaches her instead, closing the distance. I don't want any problems, Lord Vayu. The childlike spirit approaches her. You don't get to run. You have... And what is this that's happening? Omen's voice pierces through the storm. Vayu turns to look at the lake goddess. She was truly a beautiful creature. Not in the people want to have relations with her way, but in the way that one would look at a fish and know that it's beautiful. Because she was a fish. A large koi. You have prevented them from giving me my offerings, Vayu. Those were not your pretties. I don't take kindly to that. And she dragged her boat the rest of the way out. And suddenly, a plan came to her. You're here for her. Do you have a crush on her? Is that what's going on? Drifting Lotus asked curiously. One success. Lord Vayu backed away from her as she tried to approach. So she reached into the bag of belongings that she had and began laying out different items. She held the chipped skull in her hands. Her fingers traced the sharp, jagged cut. It was definitely a head wound that killed the individual. She set it down, facing Lord Vayu. His attention was piqued. That cost me why? I don't know. Drifting Lotus said blatantly. But I'm sure there's a reason. She plucked some vulture feathers. The wind caught them and pulled them towards Lord Vayu. He caught them in his hand. So I am going to try, at this point, to instill an intimacy. I want to create the intimacy between Lord Vayu and these trinkets. That is how social influence works. So, the instill action is used to change the feelings and beliefs of others. So, social influence. Alright. He has a minor intimacy. He likes offerings. I just need him to like these offerings. And I'm going to spend willpower. Drifting Lotus begins to weave a story, trying to find a way that all of these items are bound together by fate. How they are tied to the storms. And she has managed to create a minor intimacy. These items he wants. Are those... Are those the items that you mentioned? Yes. She began to arrange them into a lovely little display. Out of curiosity, you and that god of the lake, how are you connected? It's a nice place. I like it. I like it here. She's beautiful, and I want to ride her. I could enjoy it here. Drifting Lotus thinks. And she needed to weaken his tie to this god. But you are Storm Lord Vayu. Is it not true that you are supposed to be transitory? Are you not bound to another? She pries, trying to persuade him. Alright. No, you can't get me away from her. I'm not gonna leave. Fine. But what about the wind? Don't you like the wind? Isn't the wind a good friend of yours? There is a wind god that is supposed to carry Lord Vayu's storm. down towards the farm. Maybe she could pry on that one. Maybe she could strengthen his apparently weakened intimacy towards the storm god that he is supposed to chase. He's my puppy, alright? And I hate him. I'm sick of him running away. I hate him almost as much as I hate you. His eyes flashed as anger crossed his face. Whatever had happened caused this problem. Something broke up the relationship between the wind and his boy. Before Lord Vayu could throw more fire, Drifting Lotus tried to flee. Alright. So, I've got the tie to the offerings. I have failed to reduce his tie to the lake. And I've managed to change his tie to the wind to a -1. That's fantastic. So, I need to find where the dog is. So, where can I find this wind god? And here. Alright. We're going to call this a 1d3. On the size. Okay. That's a 1. So the dog is about 100 yards to the east. So that's not far. So now we have to discuss with the dog spirit. Let's see. The wind god is not as eager to be seen as Lord Vayu was. But Let's see. What can we do? Alright. We are going to have to utilize a ritual. The storm prevented her from lighting a fire. But she went to her shrine, she couldn't light the candles. She grabbed some bread from her bag. It was old, moldy. She could see a maggot crawling in it. She didn't make a lot of money doing her old job. But she began to prepare dumb supper. She spread out a small blanket, her bedroll, and broke the bread. How does this ritual work? Alright. Sorry, this isn't Dumb Supper, this is the Guidance of the Ancestor's Hand. Dumb Supper is something else. Yeah. She pulls out a set of bones. And she places them out to form the human hand. And once the hand has been gathered, she moves the bones to close the pinky, the ring, and the middle finger, and the thumb in to point. She begins to shake. She picks up the hand bones, and she shakes, and she casts them onto the floor. And she's going to attempt this ritual. So, what is... Let's see. Thaumaturgy, 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 thaumaturgy. Dun 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 da 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 dun 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 dun. All right. Thaumaturgy. Okay. Doo doo. The dice roll. Okay. Perception occult. The best chance, yeah. Alright. It is a... Close. Perception occult. Difficulty is 3. And I'm going to spend willpower on it. Five successes. Okay. 5 successes. That is good. So the guidance of the ancestral hand, as the bones land, the three bones that make up the index finger, those line up, pointing towards the east. And they're close enough to all the others that she knows that she doesn't have to travel far. She bundles her ritual tools back up, and she sets out. Lord Vayu had mentioned that the the wind god was a dog. So that should help. Along the way, she looked for a good stick. And it couldn't just be a normal stick. It had to be a difficulty 3 stick. A stick that a dog would want to chase. Not just a dog, but a god. So she searches. Four successes. She finds the right stick. And she chases the wind. The wind was circling Udra. That's why the rain was so heavy there. Drifting Lotus shakes the stick. I need to speak with you, Your Holiness. Please, come meet with me. And the wind whispers, doesn't it? Two successes. She can't see it, but she can feel it. A gust of wind rushes towards her, and she can feel it pressing, and then it stops. She had braced herself against it, but now she stumbles forward. I need to know your name. What is your name, Your Excellency? A voice whispers in her ear. I am Fleas. Fleas. F-L-E-A-S, she asks. No, Fleas. F-L-E-E. Right. Because you flee from Lord Vayu. Yes, but my boy, he does not like me anymore. He refuses to chase me, and I don't know what to do. Well, please, what happened? And I have no clue. I have no clue what happened. And so we're going to go to the rollable tables. And we're going to see what kind of random event occurred. I lost it. You lost it? My collar. I lost it. And I am no longer his dog. I keep trying to find it, but unless I'm his dog, he will not chase me. Do you remember where you were when you lost it? Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't have lost it, would I? Well, you can remember a general area, right? Which direction were you in when you last saw it? I was by the river, I remember that. I believe it was in that direction. For a moment, the wind gusts to the north. Alright. Let's go and search there. Alright. We are going to search for this collar. Let's see. Alright. My elemental vision can actually help here because Mercury is associated with air. So that's going to give her a bonus to occult rolls to find the collar. Okay, that's not... Okay, I can use craft instead of perception. That might be useful. Or craft instead of investigation. Investigation, craft, okay, they're the same. Alright. Difficulty here is in the passage of time. We don't... It's not much of an issue, but we're going to need to get 5 successes in searching. And each roll is going to be an hour. Let's see how long it's going to take. Alright. 2 successes, 1 threshold. And that was investigation. Let's go ahead and do occult now, since we're looking for something that is spiritual. Alright. Let's see. Okay. So with fleas, Drifting Lotus is able to find the caller. It had gotten caught on a branch. And somehow it had slipped off. Two hours had passed. It's midnight. It's closer to 10. Exhausted, Drifting Lotus travels back to Udra to try to speak with Lord Vayu again. This time, with her is the dog. Lord Vayu! She calls out. The boy playing with the offerings that she'd left. What is... His eyes meet hers, and he's angry, but the offerings did placate him a little. I found your dog. What? I have no... A gust of wind rushes by her, moving between the two of them. Vayu's eyes twitch, and his head turns quickly. My dog. His eyes dart between the dog, who is now running towards the west. And the lake. I was not able to weaken his connection to the lake. But I was able to bring back the supporting intimacy up to major. So I'm going to spend willpower. I have spent 3 so far. Alright. Spending willpower adds 1 automatic success to a single roll. Okay, cool. I'm not leaving! And neither are you. Lord Vayu throws lightning at his dog. But the wind god is swift. You don't spit into the wind. If she cannot weaken his tie to the lake, the Drifting Lotus needed to get help. She jumped down and rushed up and jumped into the shrine offering, pushing off to go speak with the goddess of this lake. Alright, what kind of challenge am I going to have? Military. Okay, military. Okay. Some kind of military question. Let's see what we've got here, though. Alright. Crystalline liquid. Alright, so military challenge. Crystalline liquid. A crystalline liquid military challenge. Organized people. A militia. Alright. So. The boat drifts into the water, moving deeper into the storm, deeper into the lake. Drifting Lotus doesn't know how to steer, but it's fine because there are no paddles to steer this boat anyways. Mistress, she calls out to the goddess of the lake. I need your help. The fish rises up. Huge. Gigantic. Are you supposed to be an offering now? I'm not going to eat you. No, nothing like that at all. Nothing like that at all. I need your help getting Lord Vayu to move. He refuses to leave this area. I have found the wind. Retrieved the wind's collar. But still, something is tying him here. I need your help. Alright. But I need something from you. In exchange for my aid, you must do a service for me. There is a sacred water that I want. It is in an amethyst vial. Okay, I'll go fetch that. It will be a little bit more difficult than that. Let's see. Amethyst vial. Amethyst vial. I will get it. I'll figure out how. But I shall retrieve it. But Veu needs to move, or else your lake will flood, and the people here will have to move away, and there will be no more offerings. And let's just see what her... So the goddess agrees. Now, with the help of this spirit, and fleas, we are going to try one more time. And if I do not succeed here, I'll have to get the vial before she will help me further. Flees, darts away. The goddess of the lake growls. Get your damn dog. And Lord Veu, child that he is, yelps, grabs the offerings, and rushes off to go find his dog. And now we have to find the crystalline vial, or the amethyst vial. But we don't really have many leads on it. She doesn't know where it is. I just have to find it and return it to her. So I'm going to put on my weekly table to roll to see what plot lines will show up, the vial, to see if I can randomly come across some clues. But, in the meantime, Drifting Lotus falls asleep in the boat and sleeps. The rocking of the waves calming her. And she gets back 1 point of willpower. Why are you always sleeping? Chandra challenged, waking her up as the boat hits the edge of the lake. I swear you're such a lazy student. You are seriously going to be a problem. I don't know what you mean. Look. We just need to get you training. You've got a job that you need to be able to fill, and you don't know how to do it. That much is obvious. I thought I did a decent job. I got Vayu to move on. Yes, you got Vayu to move on. That's special. That doesn't actually help you out much, does it? Do you know where you're going next? No? Alright. Have you ever ridden a horse? No. Do you know martial arts? No. Are you good with any weapons? Not really. So, training. And it sounds like we need to get you some combat experience. Alright. Let's see where we have to go to get some training in combat. And what it's going to cost.